Welcome to the Soulfire Podcast, where every day we talk about real life, real shit, real raw. On this show, you can expect us to dive deep into topics like marriage, parenting, money, business, feeling like you want to give up, fighting for yourself, just straight soul healing. This podcast is all about life. Hey there, it's Power Coach Alicia here, your source of fun, funny, exciting, entertaining, and educational life coaching, transformational speaking, and soul healing. We're talking about setting your soul on fire. I specialize in helping women put themselves first without feeling guilty, getting out of their own way, and finding themselves again. No fluff, no hand-holding, no bullshit here, just love, light, and peace as we journey through this thing called life. Life is life. You're going to go through shit. You're going to have your high highs and your low lows. Shit's going to be fucking hard. Harder than you ever could imagine. You're going to feel like you can't get through it. And then it's going to bring you to your knees. And you're going to forget how to stand up or feel like it's so fucking heavy that you just can't get back to your feet. You're going to be so fucking high on life and happiness and euphoria that you'll feel like you can never come back down to quote unquote reality. The highest of highs, the happiest of happy, and like the highest, most amazing form of euphoria that there is, and never wanting to put your feet back on the ground. That is life. That's why we're here, is to experience those high highs, those low lows, and all the little and big things in between. But as I analyze people and their journey through life, I see a lot of volunteer victims. The volunteer to be on their knees for the foreseeable future, because you know it's not so bad down here. The volunteer to just fucking stack more and more bullshit on their back that they know that they can't handle, but why not? Nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else can do it. They're having a hard time anyways, right? We spend so much time of our lives with those things that bring us to our knees, but the truth is they didn't actually bring you to your knees. You just felt heavy and you volunteered to go lower. And then when you got there, you volunteered to stay there. And anytime you do get back to your feet, you're the first one to volunteer back to that victim and back to your feet and back to victim and back to your feet. You probably heard me start this episode and go, God, I would love to have that euphoria, that highest of happiness and like just that peak personal power of life. I'd love to feel that, live that, and be there. Would you? How come you never have? Because life is happening to you? Because shit is going on in life? It's like, if there's destruction happening, you're going, hey, I volunteer. I volunteer as victim to this. Pay attention. Pay attention to how you act in life. Pay attention to when something happens. Pay attention to when life happens and you volunteer to feel like shit. You volunteer for it to be hard. You volunteer for it to be all your fault. I'm sorry. You volunteer to like, I always do this. I'm so sorry. I always do this. You volunteer to be the victim everywhere you go. You talk about your job and how stressful it is all the time and how hard it is for you and frustrating and how exhausted you are. Volunteer victim. You talk about this teenager and how hard it is with this teenager and I don't know what you're going to do and you cry all the time and you just don't know how to get through to them and volunteer victim. You talk about this relationship that you're in and how you guys just don't connect and you just feel so lonely and like they don't understand you and you don't have that love that you really want and that you crave. Volunteer victim. A volunteer victim stays where they're at and complains about it while also raising their hand for any new bullshit that comes along that's going to reinforce all of that. I heard this from Les Brown. He talked about people being volunteer victims, and I don't remember the story he told or where he went after that. But I remember saying that to myself, like, that's going to be a podcast episode. because I see people going through life being a victim. I've talked about depression and anxiety a lot. I've also talked a lot about depression meds and anti-anxiety meds a lot. And one of the things that this attaches to, that volunteer victim attaches to, is like, I've been on antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds for 15 years. I'm at the highest dosage. I've gone from different, brands, and I still feel like shit. That's because you're a volunteer victim. You got on those meds. You did nothing. You didn't do the work. I know you might be thinking, did nothing. Like, I'm still here. I get up every day. I take care of my kids. I go to work. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about soul work. I'm talking about the work that you needed to do when you started those pills so that you created habits that were good for your soul, that made you happy, that brought joy to your life, that illuminated the beautiful soul that you are. So you volunteered to be a victim to these antidepressants for the foreseeable future. And then you complain about the fact that you're struggling so much, you need to get to the doctor and see what they can do. There's only so much anyone or anything can do to help you live life like a survivor. Survivor mentality comes from the action that you take, how you show the fuck up for yourself, what you do to get through that. We talk about emotional intelligence and being self-aware, right? We talk about this because as a volunteer victim, you're not self-aware. You're not emotionally intelligent, right? You're not aware. Well, you are self-aware. Let me rephrase. You are self-aware as in the fact that you know that you're feeling the ways that you're feeling, but you're not self-aware in the ways of like, where did it come from? What triggered it? How did it get here? How many times has this happened? Is there a lesson that I need to learn here, right? So you're aware of those feelings, but you're not analyzing them. And if you don't analyze them, you can't get to emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is the action that you take to give yourself what you need when you're feeling those ways. Or more of what you need if you're feeling great, right? It's not just negative. It's being self-aware is the positive and the negative, right? So with that being said, if you show up in life and you're constantly volunteering as the victim, one, people don't want to fucking be around that. So that just reinforces that you really have no one and you feel lonely and people don't like you. So you get to re-volunteer again, right? I always get asked like, okay, like that makes so much sense. I hear exactly where you're coming from and what you mean when you explain that and all of those things. So what do I do about it? Get into fucking action. Do something different than what you've been doing. When you notice yourself getting ready to volunteer as a victim again, stop it in its fucking tracks and change it. When I had a situation happen to me the other day that like really was frustrating, and it was really my fault because I didn't speak up. But when I had that situation happen to me, I wanted to talk to people about it and get their take on it and see like, is this a me thing? Like, am I fucked up with this? Am I viewing this wrong? Like, is this a me problem? Or am I validated in the way that I feel? Right. And so that was like my thought process and just sharing it out. And then I hit a point where I was like, I don't want to share this anymore because now I feel like I've shared it so much that this is me volunteering to just be a victim to it. That this is me going, oh yeah, this is so hard and blah, 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 And it's true, like it sucked and it was hard for me. And I, again, legitimately had a right to feel the way that I was feeling. However, I was starting to get in this mindset of like, okay, you've hit a point where you've shared this so many times. It's time for you to step into the intelligence of what are you going to do about it, right? It's like that shift from being a victim. Yeah, I was a victim. I felt like a victim. I sat in it for a minute because for me, it was true. If it's not true that I'm actually a victim, I will say, you know what? It's just me feeling sorry for myself and I need to get my shit together. And then I'll say what I need to do. I won't even tell the person the situation or the people the situation. I will literally say that. It's just me feeling sorry for myself. So I just need to step into my power and do this, or that, right? And it shocks people because they'll go, wow, that's so crazy that you're that, emotionally intelligent and self-aware and like that in tune with yourself to know like it's not something that you need to talk about because you're just feeling sorry for yourself. However, if what actually happened did make me feel like a victim. Like, I obviously, in a way, I didn't volunteer for it, but it does make me feel like a victim. I'll have those conversations. I'll talk to people, and then I'll hit the point where I'll go, okay, this is now you stepping into volunteer victimhood, where you are feeling sorry for yourself now. And now you're going to continue having this conversation, because now it's about people feeling sorry for you, not you gathering information so that you can, make decisions. And when that happens, I stop sharing with other people. Hey, are you loving this? To get even more soul fire, soul healing products, and to download the free gifts that I have for you, go to soulfirepodcast.com. Again, that's soulfirepodcast.com. I stopped telling them. If they ask me, how I'm doing or how my weekend's going, and I say, oh, I had high highs, low lows. Oh, yeah, you had low lows? Like, what happened? There was just, some lessons that I needed to learn, and so that I could have some growth that was much needed. But I'm doing much better now, and I'm having a great day today, and I'm way more clear on, what I needed to learn from that. See, I don't give any details, because now I'm in a space where I don't want that person or people to write back and have any sort of empathy for me. I'm done. I had enough empathy. I got what I needed. I got the information that I needed, and now it's time to do the work. And so this will happen with me for, it might be a 24-hour period. Not generally. That's a long time for me to sit in how I feel. So I'll sit in my feelings for time, but usually not 24 hours. When I say sit in my feelings, that means I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just allowing myself to feel the way that I feel, and I'm not taking any action. I'm analyzing it from a whole bunch of different angles. I'm looking at how I handled the situation, how other people handled the situation, how it affected me, how I affect them, blah, 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 all of it. Okay. But then from there, that's when I step into that action, right? The action that I'm going to take from that emotional intelligence, because I've done the analyzing that I needed to of the situation, so I can decide how I'm going to proceed forward from there. And that's what I'm doing my best to give to you. A volunteer victim doesn't do any of that, right? The volunteer victim says, yeah, that's me. That happened to me. They also trauma bond. They attach to people's like sadness and negative things that have happened and what the other people are going through. And they get on those levels. Volunteer victims are really, really big with trauma bonding. Like, oh yeah, I lost my dad too. I'm still sad about it. I'm devastated. I cry every day. Oh, good. That's a way to be in that, victim mentality. That's a way to attach so that you're still at that same energy, right? Opposed to being like, I've lost my dad too. Like, it was a hard journey. I still miss him today, but I'm grateful for the time that we had together, and that I got fishing from him, and my love of music from him, and my love of the green lawn from him, and my love of cars from him. It's like shifting into that positive power instead of the negative depletion. That's a great way of articulating that. So I want you to look at, are you the volunteer victim, or are there volunteer victims in your life? Once you are aware of this mentality, you will see it so clearly everywhere you go. And the more work you do on yourself to not be a volunteer victim, the more annoyed you will be watching other people be this way, because it's like, why aren't they doing anything? Why don't they do any work? Why are they always complaining? Why is it right? And you get this idea that, oh my gosh, like so many people live this way, and what it does is it infects everyone around them. Like, literally depletes the fuck out of the energy of the people around the volunteer victim. And the only way to protect yourself is to distance and not allow it. Like, you don't stand for it. So I'll just call out victim. Like, that's you being a victim. There's that victim mentality again. I only call that out if there's somebody who is not self-aware, but they want to be aware and do the work to grow. If they aren't self-aware and they don't want to do the work to grow, or they're not doing the work to grow, I don't tell them anything. I just start detaching myself from them and asking them, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? Like, what's your plan so that you don't always feel this way? What's your plan so that you don't get back to this space? So I start asking those sorts of questions. So it's like leading them to like a constructive resolution. And if their answers to that is haphazard bullshit that's just going to keep them where they're at, then I distance myself even more. And it literally doesn't matter who they are in my life. Is it hard? Yeah. Does it suck? Yeah. There comes a time in life, though, where you have to choose your peace over anything else. And so that if that interrupts your peace, if that causes issues, then you can, enforce your boundaries. You can analyze that, decide what you're going to do with it. And if at that point, the other people, circumstances, and things is not, jiving with what you need to do for that peace, it's okay to step back. It's okay to create space. I do not care who this person is in your life. If they're going to be that way, create the space so that you can learn how to protect your power better, and then step forward and see if you want them to be in your life. Step forward and tell them why you made that decision. Hey, I just want you to know. I mean, you probably noticed that I've been a little bit more distant and such, and it's really because I'm really working on surrounding myself with positive people, energy, frequencies, mindsets, people who are on a path to, learn more about themselves, grow through their weaknesses, and strengthen their strengths. And I want that kind of energy and people around me. And so I've been distancing myself from people who I feel there's more of that negative attitude and energy and depletion going on. And I just really wanted to be honest with you. It's not that I love you any less or think any less of you. It's just something that I'm doing for me, for my own personal. Do I think people will still get defensive and offended by that? Sure. That's not your problem, though. You were honest and you did it with love and respect. So that's their burden to bear. If you're a fucking asshole about it, then yeah, now you've got a problem. But if you are respectful about it, it's their burden. And that's another thing, from shifting from that volunteer victim to that soul survivor, if you will. I love alliterations, by the way, but that shift from that volunteer victim to that soul survivor is being able to recognize what it's doing to you, what that energy is doing, and that you don't want it around you. And also being able to go, my peace is more important to me than anything. So my focus and my energy is going towards that peace. And anybody who disrupts that can't be here. Anybody who disrupts that doesn't get an active role in my life. Maybe they are a extra in my life, but they don't get that active role because it's an active role. They're way too close to me, too much of an opportunity to deplete that energy and take from me. And I truly don't want that, or I truly can't handle that in my life. So that may be another thing. If you're someone who does suffer from depression and anxiety and you have people around you who perpetuate that, there you go. Like, there's another thing. You've got to learn, like, if I'm going to be a soul survivor instead of a volunteer victim, I can't have these people around me because they literally exacerbate the depression. They exacerbate the anxiety. And it takes me so long to get it back under control again and feel good again. Those decisions greatly impact that. So if you keep people in your life that do that, it's greatly impacting your emotional health, your mental health. And by creating that distance, you can get a hold on that and strengthen that, right? So the point of this episode is to bring to your attention that if you're the volunteer victim, you are literally fucking depleting everybody in your life. You are exhausting them. You are bringing them down. You're making it very hard for them to be around you. They're sick of listening to your stories, I promise you. They're sick of listening to how, bad everything is for you and the sob stories and how you go from one shit show to the next shit show while acting like you have no choice. Like, while you act like life is happening to you, but it could be happening for you, except for you won't look at it from any other angle except for from victimhood, right? Like, people in your life do not like that. Even if they're not on a personal development journey and they're not growing through things, you're bringing them down. The only way they like that is if misery is misery, right? Like, misery needs company. If they are like you, and the chance that your tribe is a lot like you in that energy and that victimhood is very high because our vibe attracts our tribe, right? So how we are is attracting those people to us, and their energy is going excuse me, their energy is going to be a lot more like yours. So if you have those people around you that are like you, you're probably not bothering them as much, except for the fact that you're always making it about you and they want to always make it about them. So that could be annoying, but that would be the main thing in that, right? Because when two people who are in misery come together, they feel good because they have somebody who understands them, right? And when you guys leave that moment of talking all about the shittiness of life and you guys go back home or you go to work or you go do whatever you're going to do, when you leave that space, you actually feel worse than when you entered it, but you can't tell that because of you guys being on the same frequency. So you leave there thinking, man, that felt so good to just talk to somebody that understands what I'm going through, that feels what I'm going through, that's going through what I'm going through. Those are all three different layers. The truth is when you're having a hard time, not living in victimhood, but when you're having a hard time and you're going through disruptions, eruptions, or explosions in your life, you want somebody who is vibrating higher than you so they can bring you up to their level. But I will fucking tell you, as somebody who brings people up to my level all the time, do not attach yourself to those people if you're just going to be a blood-sucking leech of negative emotions. They deserve better than that from you because they're giving you better than that. So if you're not going to give them better than that, then don't fucking go to them in the first place. You don't have to match where they're at, but you damn sure cannot be that blood-sucking leech of their energy and their positiveness and their personal power. You can't be that. You've got to enter into that environment wanting to shift and get better and to fix things, not enter into that environment expecting them to make you feel better and to give all that they have to give into you so that you do. There is a big, big, big importance of distinction there. Okay. So same thing. If you're the person that brings people up to your level, it's important that if you're going to be there for people, that they are not still continuing to volunteer to be a victim throughout that entire conversation. They have got to be willing to figure out, they got to be coming to you because they want to learn how to survive. They want to get the perspective from you. They want help. They want support, and they're going to do what it is that you're suggesting, or they're going to take your suggestions and really formulate a personal power plan that's positive for them. You know, that's what you want from that. And if they're not going to do that, you don't waste your breath. You don't waste your energy. You don't waste your time. It's like people think that they need to be there for people who are depressed or, you know, feel like they want to commit suicide and, you know, having a hard life and having a hard time. Like, it's your job to be there for them, especially if you are the bright light in the darkness. It's not your job to be there for them if they're not willing to be anything for themselves. They have got to step forward. They have got to reach out their hand. They have got to listen. They've got to take it in, and they've got to make the plan to get better. It's not just a free for all. I show up for you no matter what the fuck you've got going on. And if you're not going to do any work or whatever, I'm going to put all this energy and work into you. It's not that. It's never that, because that depletes you. And now you end up in a state that you've got to work twice as hard to get back out of, because somebody got you there inadvertently and you didn't even realize it. I hope this makes so much sense. I hope this is connecting with you deep, deep, deep inside. Don't be a volunteer victim. Step in the power of a soul survivor. Be that person that you're bringing people up to your level. Be the person that doesn't allow people to just sit in their shit and complain and vent for the sake of venting. I've talked about this so many times, but I'm not somebody you come to when you want to vent, because you deplete my energy and power for fucking nothing. I pour into you for fucking nothing, because you might be fine for 5 minutes, 24 hours a week, but you're going to be venting about that same shit in no time because you're not doing anything about it. So all it is you going around depleting everybody's energy and doing it again and again and again and again and again because you're not doing anything. You might think you're doing something. It might feel like you're doing something. But if these things keep kicking up like this, that's just going to show that whatever your action is not working, right? So it's just a complete depletion of energy and positive power. And that's why I think that venting is pointless. I think getting it off your chest is good. And then the next step is, okay, what are we going to do about it? Most people just stop at getting it off their chest. And, you know, I've heard, you know, we don't need to have a solution for everything. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Because if you don't have a solution, the alternative is stuckness. If you don't have a plan, the alternative is nothing. If you're not moving forward, you're going fucking backwards. Hear me. If you're not moving forward, you're going fucking backwards. What's the point then, right? You've got to be moving forward so you're not going backwards. And the further back you go, the closer you are to death. The closer you are to living dead, right? Until you just die. It's so important that you're living intentionally. So vent, get it out, say how you're feeling, and then step into action. I'm still training people in my life. If I come to you with how I feel about something, I don't need space. I don't need time. I don't need you to just listen. If I'm talking to you about something ever, I want to have that conversation be an ebb and a flow. We're going back and forth, and I want to come to a resolution, or I want you to come to me and say, hey, like, I saw that cry for help. I heard that cry for help. I saw that that was hard for you. I see that that affected you, negatively. I want you to know that I'm here for you. How can I help? I want that. I'm going to come to you and tell you when I want your help. But I also would love for you to see that as well. And I'd love for us to get into a dialogue of your thought processes on that, your advice on that, your perspective, your experience on that. I'm looking for a higher vibration for my mind so I can grow. Emotional intelligence. Volunteer victims don't have emotional intelligence, and they don't have constructive self-awareness. They're aware of it, but they use it for destruction, right? So I'm standing here today, or sitting here today, saying, choose to be a soul survivor and do the work it takes to do that. Because if you don't, you will automatic default as a volunteer victim. And we have plenty of those in the world. And it's my mission to help people like you find that personal power, step into that personal power, grow through the things in life that are trials and stressful and frustrating and shit shows, so that you can get to the next level and the next level and the next level version of yourself. Remember this sacred truth. Say yes to yourself, for within you lies infinite worth. Let your heart be your compass, guiding you on a path of self-discovery and liberation. Grant yourself the grace to stumble and rise, for it is in our imperfections that we find our strength. Embrace the dance of progress, where each step forward fuels the fire within you. And with massive power and deep soul conviction, let this be your anthem, your unwavering declaration. I choose me. I'm Power Coach Alicia, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Soul Fire podcast. You being here means the world to me, and I'm grateful for the time that you've dedicated to be here. And by consistently showing up, I firmly believe that you will transform your life. I'm so grateful that you subscribed and you continue to share with others, spreading my message far and wide, because together we can reach my mission of transforming the lives of 1 million souls on their healing journey. Now, to provide you even more support on your soul healing journey and address any questions you may have, I would like to invite you to join our soul healing community. Simply visit community.thesoulhealingzone.com. Again, that's community.thesoulhealingzone.com, where you can connect with like-minded women, share your top takeaways, discuss what resonated with your soul, and express your absolute favorite moments from this episode. I can't wait to read them. I'm so freaking excited to create more empowering episodes and continue supporting you. I am sending you so much love, light, and peace as we journey through this thing called life.